So I was admiring my humble little game collection the other day when I noticed a peculiar Wii U game with a missing blue ridge at the top. This Wii U game in question was none other than Wii Sports Club. Oh yeah, I remembered. I bought this game 2 summers ago and have barely played it. I was super excited to pick this game up because it's one of the harder to find, more expensive Wii U titles, and it's just been sitting on my bookshelf all this time. I spent over $80 on this game including shipping and tax just for it to sit and look pretty on my nerd shelf for 2 years. Haha. Ha 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 ha. Wii! I remember playing this game a bit back during the Wii U's time. I never owned it, but I did rent it a couple times from Family Video. I don't remember too much, but I do remember having some fun with it. But that was then, and this is now. What do I think of Wii Sports Club in the present day? Now that I'm a grown-ass man with very little free time and who definitely still doesn't drink bug juice because that's for little babies, I would like to revisit Wii Sports Club. It's been sitting on my shelf for 2 years after all. I think it's finally time to give this game the attention it may or may not deserve. I hope you don't have anything better to do with your time because today we're talking about Wii Sports Club, an HD remake of the beloved Wii Sports game. There's been a lot of talk about whether or not this is the definitive way to play Wii Sports. I mean, it feels like it should be, right? It's just the original Wii Sports, but with HD graphics and several other additions. Ladies and gentlemen, kick back, get your snacks, and let's answer this question together. Whoosh! The release timeline of Wii Sports Club was pretty wonky. It was announced in a Nintendo Direct in September 2013, and was then released digitally in October 2013, though only tennis and bowling were available to play. The remaining 3 sports were released in the following months. I have no idea why Nintendo was still doing this release a game unfinished and finish it later crap even back in 2013. I hate it as much as you do, but it was made better by the fact that it got a full physical release in July 2014 with all 5 of the sports included. The way they decided to price the digital version of this game is also pretty wonky. Instead of just downloading the game from the eShop for one set price and having all the sports like would've, made sense, Nintendo made it so you had to download it for free from the eShop, and then within the game you can choose to rent a single sport for 24 hours for $2, or have unlimited access to the sport for a one-time payment of $10. I guess the idea was to make the game feel like a country club where you could pay for a day of golf or tennis. I don't know. The other benefit was that you only had to pay for the sports you want to play. If you're only interested in bowling and baseball, you only have to pay $20 to get 2 unlimited passes. As you can imagine, this completely backfired because it overcomplicated things. It was such a bizarre way of handling the release. I think people saw the part where you rent a sport for 24 hours and automatically assumed it was like a membership thing. They may not have realized that you could get the unlimited pass with all the sports for a total of $50. And they may have missed the physical version that was released later down the line for $50, which had all the sports on it. From what I remember, it released pretty under the radar. Needless to say, Nintendo completely goofed up the release of this game. While I do think people were pretty burnt out on Wii Sports at this time, the main reason this game sold poorly, even considering the low sales of the Wii U, was the way Nintendo handled the release of this game. I can't even find the sales numbers anywhere online if that's any indication of how poorly it performed. What I do know is that Wii Sports Club didn't even crack the top 10 best-selling Wii U games. This doesn't sound horrible considering being a top 10 game is a pretty major feat, but when you consider almost every single Wii series game cracked the top 10 on the Wii, a Wii Sports game not making the top 10 on the Wii U is pretty sad. I think it would have sold much better if they released it in the way that everyone would have expected it to be released. All 5 sports there on day 1 with none of this day pass crap. It's hard to say for sure though because, like I mentioned, there was some Wii Sports burnout going on at this time. Let's get into what's new about this remake, starting with the visuals. It's a bit of a mixed bag, but overall, I think it looks pretty nice. It does run at 720p as most Wii U games do, but other than some rough edges, I think it looks really good. Everything looks a lot crisper now, and the environments have more going on. Tennis has proper looking bleachers on the sides with people in them, bowling has these giant screens above the lanes and more stuff in the background, and you see individual Miis in the crowd instead of just colored dots in baseball. The one major complaint I have about the visuals is that they look too washed out. They almost look like they have this white sheen over them as if to say, look how shiny and new these graphics are. It's super noticeable in minigames that have a lot of green in them, like tennis and baseball, where the grass doesn't look as vibrant as it should be. Giving Nintendo Switch Sports a compliment was not on the agenda today, but that game is super vibrant and has colors that really pop, and I wish Wii Sports Club was that colorful. Another major change Wii Sports Club brought is the controls, specifically the Wii Motion Plus and gamepad functionality. The Wii Motion Plus was an accessory that added a gyroscope to the Wii Remote. This made the motion controls way more accurate because a standard Wii Remote with only an accelerometer could only detect general swinging motions, while a gyroscope made it so the controller could detect any tilting motion. Many motion-controlled games required this accessory after it was introduced, including this one, making the motion controls in Wii Sports Club much better than in the first Wii Sports. We already got a taste of gyroscope Wii Sports from Wii Sports Resort, but Wii Sports Club introduced us to some gyro-controlled sports that weren't in Wii Sports Resort, such as the first sport, classic tennis. For me, it's hard to go back to tennis on the first Wii Sports because of how much better it controls in club. A major issue with playing tennis with a vanilla Wii remote is it can be hard to hit the ball with a specific side of the racket, making it difficult to make the ball go where you want it to go. Adding a gyroscope makes it a lot easier to hit with the correct side by simply tilting the Wii remote to the correct side. I actually found that it takes some time to get used to the extra precision, but once you get the hang of it, tennis is way more addicting than it used to be because you feel more engaged and it feels like there's more technique and strategy involved. The next game is bowling, and this one was in Wii Sports Resort, so there isn't anything new to say here. The gyroscope makes it easier to spin the ball, and that's it. There wasn't any gamepad functionality either, so it's just bowling. This minigame is already perfect, so why risk making it worse? Wii Sports Bowling already has double Ds, so the last thing you'd want is for it to go under the knife.
What?
Next is golf, and this is where Wii Sports Club starts to get a little freaky, as this is the first sport that adds gamepad functionality. Basically, you put the gamepad on the floor and it'll show the golf ball lying on the ground, as well as the power meter, and you swing the Wii remote over the gamepad, which is supposed to add to the immersion. This causes an obvious problem right off the bat, as having a gamepad on the ground risks you stepping on it. Listen, I have some pretty embarrassing feelings towards the Wii U. The last thing I want to do is accidentally step on my precious gamepad.
Sorry, dude, are you okay? Harder. What?
Most people hated this forced gamepad functionality, but I'm not most people because I love dumb shit like this. I think it's really neat looking down on the ground and seeing the golf ball and then looking up on the TV and seeing the course. The Wii U would occasionally flex these random features that no other console could do, and I'm always amused by it, even if it doesn't add much to the game. Also, having the power meter on the ground instead of the TV forces you to keep your eyes on the ground, just like in real golf. I really like the extra immersion. Is it sucky that you have to use the gamepad every time you play this game? Yes. Is it sucky that playing this way is the only option? Yes. I personally think this is a cool way to play golf, but most other people say it's the worst version. Moving on to my beloved baseball, man, I can't wait to see what kind of cool features they added to my favorite minigame.
Who let them cook?
Things went horribly wrong with the pitching mechanics. Swinging the bat is as good as ever. It feels great, but they had to mess with the pitching. Instead of swinging the Wii remote as if you're pitching a baseball, you now use the gamepad to pitch with the button controls. And depending on the button you press, you can do different kinds of throws. Motion controls are only used for aiming. Because pitching with the gamepad is the only way to do it, you have to keep flip-flopping between the Wii remote and gamepad, which is really annoying. Also, why would I want to use button controls in a Wii Sports game? It doesn't make any sense. One cool thing they did do with the gamepad is sometimes when the ball is headed towards the pitcher, you get this sequence where you have to try and line up these circles in order to try and catch the ball. This is such a cool use of the gamepad that removes some of the luck that the first Wii Sports had where catching the ball was completely out of your control. But it does make me even more sad that they screwed with the pitching, because otherwise this would be the best way to play baseball. The last sport is boxing. This is one I thought for sure would be the definitive way to play because I thought the controls in the original could be a bit clunky at times. So having the Wii Motion Plus should do wonders for this game. Well, the first problem right away is that this game forces you to play with two Wii Motion Plus controllers in order to do standard two-handed boxing. If you want to box but only have one Wii Motion Plus, the game forces you to do one-handed boxing, which is lame as hell. That also means that if you want to do two-player standard boxing, you have to have 4 Wii remotes with Wii Motion Plus. How many fucking batteries do you think I own? I get the thought process here. Most people agree that the nunchuck has worse motion controls than even a vanilla Wii remote. So if you were to use a nunchuck and a Wii Motion Plus controller, it would feel super lopsided. One hand would control way better than the other. But why not at least give us the option to do that? Why is the only alternative to do one-handed boxing? How is that better than just using a nunchuck? Not everyone is going to have multiple Wii Motion Plus controllers, and the amount of them you need just for 2 people to play boxing is absurd. Outside of that, the original boxing feels better overall. It felt moodier and more intense, punches felt more impactful, you'd get this cool slow motion effect if you time a dodge perfectly, and most importantly, the ragdoll physics when someone got knocked out are hilarious. Yeah, none of that's here in Club. The intensity is toned down a lot, punches feel pathetic, and ragdoll physics are completely gutted. The only cool new addition is this neat little cutscene that plays in between the rounds. Are the controls better and more accurate? Yeah, but this game feels better overall in the original. I don't think this is the best way to play boxing. Wii Sports Club added more than somewhat upgraded visuals and new controls. Some people will say that the biggest thing it added were the social features. It's probably time to actually talk about why this game is called Wii Sports Club, when the more obvious choice would be something like Wii Sports U. Basically, you have the option of selecting a club to be a part of based on where you live. This could be a club based on your country, or if you live in a place like the US, a club based on your state. According to an Iwata Asks interview, the reasoning behind this was related to the Miiverse functionality, which this game had, by the way. You were able to see Miiverse posts in-game. They would pop up during matches to cheer you on or talk crap afterwards. If players weren't separated into these clubs, the game would likely be flooded with individuals bragging about winning. Segregating the players based on their hometown creates a sense of community and makes people want to root for each other instead, as the different regions will be ranked based on their success in online play. This is an interesting idea, but I still think it's weird that this is how they chose to name the game. I don't see it as a defining characteristic. Wii Sports U would have made it easier to understand. It's Wii Sports on the Wii U. Moving on to online play, since online play on the Wii U is deader than my hopes and dreams, I have no way of testing it. The fine folks over at Pretendo have done some fantastic work in getting online play for Wii U and 3DS games up and running again via fan servers, but it seems Wii Sports Club is not supported yet because most people hate this game's guts, so it's not very high up on their list of priorities. Anyway, yeah, this game had online play, which is something people were pretty excited to have in a Wii Sports game. This is the first time we officially had it. My memory of it is pretty foggy, but I remember it running decently well on my crappy internet as a kid. I will say I've heard multiple other people say that they remember it being pretty hard to find matches at times due to how poorly the game allegedly sold. Despite that, you have to give this game credit. Online multiplayer for Wii Sports is really cool. Lastly, here's a couple other things this game added. Wii Sports Club introduced all new training modes. I'm not going to go through and talk about each individual one because there will be a lot that I don't have much to say on, but I'd say they're pretty good overall. There are some that I definitely miss from the original Wii Sports, but these new ones are pretty solid, so they make up for it in my opinion. They also replaced the old announcer with this new older guy.
Great shot!
I'm not exactly sure what they did with the old announcer. I sure hope he's okay. Yeah, this new one sucks. I'm sure he's a great guy, but people had a ton of nostalgia for the old one. I don't know why they replaced him. Now, to finally answer the big question, is Wii Sports Club an upgrade or a downgrade? Is this the definitive way to play Wii Sports? I wish this was a situation where I could give a concrete answer, but I can't. I think tennis, bowling, and golf are best on club, but the original is for sure the way to go for baseball and boxing. The other thing you have to consider is of course the nostalgia factor. The music, announcer, and graphics alone on the first Wii Sports might make it worth returning to the original. And then of course there's personal preference. A lot of people really hate the way this game looks and they think the gamepad functionality in both baseball and golf is stupid as hell. So it's whatever you think, I guess. I will say that even though Wii Sports Club makes some notable improvements, if I were to invite people over to play Wii Sports or something, I'd probably be firing up the original. Club simply isn't a well-rounded enough upgrade to trump the nostalgia people have for the first Wii Sports. Well, there's your answer, folks. Wii Sports Club is both an upgrade and a downgrade. I suggest playing both games. If you want to play this game in particular, I sure hope you're ready to fork over more money than the game actually cost when it released. And that's all I have to say, so farewell, my friends.